Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I recognize some of your names, so I think some of us have been in contact via email. So it's great to see you all here. And new faces are awesome. We're always happy to talk to people about the program. So the way I think that we'll kind of structure today, I'm going to share a slideshow that has some information prepared about our program, some general information. The three of us coordinators will introduce ourselves right after I stop talking, and we will share responsibility kind of going through and talking about the slideshow. We'll all jump in and add on to things. And then we'll leave some space at the end. We'll stop recording and we'll leave some space at the end for folks to just ask general questions, and we'll open up breakout rooms if needed to go into the individual concentration spaces if you want to ask a specific question to your coordinator. But we're a small enough group that we can probably ask all those questions together, and then and then that way you can also hear other folks' questions in case there are questions that you have but didn't ask, or didn't know to ask, or you're just curious about learning more. So yeah, that's kind of how the hour will go. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Jasmine Lee. I'm the coordinator. I'm an associate professor in our department, and I'm the coordinator of the composition and rhetoric track of the English and Writing Studies MA. Lots of ands in there. Yeah, and then someone else want to jump in?
Sure. I'm Erin Hall. Sorry, this is my cat Mark, and he loves to be on Zoom, so hopefully he won't kick me off at any point. I am the coordinator of 3 concentrations: Applied Linguistics and TESOL. That's my main area is linguistics. I also teach speech-language pathology, which is a new kind of area in our undergraduate program. We have a minor and a certificate. Developing an MA, but we don't have that yet. So Applied Linguistics and TESOL, also pedagogy and public and professional writing. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
And I'm Vanessa Ovaya Perez. I am the coordinator for our literature track, and I teach classes mainly on Chicanx and Latinx literature. We also have a great program here where I get to help teach in prisons. Corinne is one of our students who participates in those programs. So I'm glad to see you, Corinne. And yeah, our literature faculty is really great. We're super excited to be part of the MA program.
Awesome. If you hear like a small child in the background yelling, that's my son. I just heard him go ba, 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 and I don't know how much my mic will pick up, but just he is participating in the background. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen here and go into presentation mode. All right. Can you all see that? Yes. Okay, great. I have two I have 2 screens up so I can see you all on one side of the screen. Okay. All right. So again, welcome, and welcome to the information session. And I'll click this over here. Our application due date is coming up in a couple weeks. It's about a month away now, on April 17th. If you haven't started your application, don't panic. The application process is pretty streamlined. There's still plenty of time to apply, and plenty of time to gather your materials. We'll talk through in a bit about what is required to apply. What is required to apply? Yes. And just keep that date in mind. We also do accept applications for spring as well. So if you're finishing up maybe you're finishing up a bachelor's degree and you're like, yeah, I'm not quite ready to jump back in after summer, but I am interested in the program. Keep in mind that you can also apply for spring. So we have our spring deadline is typically somewhere around November, but that will be clear on the website. And as I said, yeah, you have about a month now, still time. Okay, so our program is a 2-year program, which is 30 semester units. This is assuming 30 semester units, assuming that you take 3 classes per semester. I always am. So 2 classes a semester is is 6 units, which is considered full-time in the program, but not for financial aid purposes. Financial aid purposes, full-time is 6.1 graduate units, which is kind of a weird distinction, but most of our students take 3 classes each semester. Our classes are offered always in the evenings, typically, or they're almost exclusively in the 5:30 to 8:15 time window. So folks who have full-time jobs usually can still make it to those classes. If you're taking 3 classes, that would mean that you're coming into campus 3 times a week. Sorry, I'm like way over here because I'm trying to see you all in my other monitor. I'm just over here in the corner. So 3 times a week onto campus. We do occasionally offer classes online, but those are not guaranteed and they're not always the same classes. So we're primarily an in-person program for local students. And we do not currently have any graduate classes offered at PDC, but that is something that we could potentially offer in the future. We do have PDC students who just commute to campus. And if you work with your advisor, if you have a large commute, working with your advisor to strategize about what days, what classes might be coming up that are going to be offered online and how to kind of make your commute work. We're always happy to talk about those things, which is to say that we're a program that recognizes that that our students are people and are really happy to have you in the program and happy to work with you to make sure that you can be successful in this program. We offer 5 concentrations, which we just talked about in our introductions: literature, composition and rhetoric, applied linguistics and TESOL, pedagogy, and public and professional writing. And these concentrations prepare students for a variety of careers. The ones that are listed here are career fields that our current alumni are already working in. So we have folks who teach in the community colleges, folks who go on to PhD programs and teach in universities. We have folks working in marketing and communications, including on campus. So all of these materials were very generously and expertly crafted by an alumnus from our program, an alumna from our program, Emily McKellar, who you may have received some emails from too. We have another person who's working in the Grad Resource Center now. So a lot of our folks stay around on campus and work in our different in different offices on campus. We have some of our alumni who also teach in our program. So there are opportunities to TA, which we'll talk about, and that prepares you to teach some of the classes that we offer for our undergrads. And then we have folks who work in writing and editing across a number of different industries and fields. So yeah, I did mention our TA-ship. So our program has some unique opportunities. Some of those include working as a TA. Our TA program is unique in that it allows students to be the instructor of record for one of our classes. Literature students teach, is it 1210? Is that right? Diversity in literature, I think is the...
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
You got it.
Thanks. And then our composition and TESOL TAs typically teach a section of our first year writing class, so 1070A or 1070B, and the B section is for multilingual students. Many of our current students also work in one of our writing centers. So we have a primary writing center on campus, and then we also have some specific writing centers like the Business Writing Center through the Jack Brown College. As part of our program, we have a mentored teaching internship. So everyone who moves through our program will complete a teaching internship. And we also have some professional writing internship opportunities. One of our colleagues, Professor Hyun, is this year started a new position as the Cal Professional Readiness Fellow, I think is the title, in the Dean's office. And Professor Hyun is doing some really cool things like setting up a Cal internship fair for arts and humanities students specifically. And so that would be also a great place to check out internships. And then you can take the internship class alongside that to kind of help you make sense of your experience as an intern in that, at whatever site you land in. There is some funding also available through the Office of Student Research. Many of our students propose papers for conferences. A few of our linguists are at a conference right now. We have a deadline coming up for PAMLA, and many of our literature students apply and present at PAMLA, the Pacific, I don't know what the A stands for, of MLA, the Modern Language Association. What is the A?
I think it's American,
Oh, okay.
but I could be wrong.
Yeah, the A. It can be anything. The Pacific Anything MLA conference, which is usually held in Southern California. So we have a lot of students who work on their own research and present research, or work collaboratively with faculty and present research with faculty. And there's grants for that work, and there's travel funding through the OSR for that work as well. My fellow coordinators, do you want to add anything? Am I missing anything?
No, I think you covered it.
I looked it up. It's actually Pacific Ancient and Modern Languages Association.
Oh, it's a temporal thing. All right.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you. The Pacific always threw me off. It got me in a spatial space. Okay. So these are the requirements for applying for the program. Oh, this is Professor Hyun, the aforementioned fellow for career readiness, professional and career readiness. So the requirements for the application are, we ask you'll complete the application on Cal Apply, which is the application website for all of the Cal States. Once you put your information into that, you can apply to any of the Cal State programs that you'd like. And then for our specific program, we ask for these supplemental materials. The first is a writing sample. This is something that is typically 5 to 10 pages long. It can be a paper that you are particularly proud of, or something that you've worked to revise from your coursework. It can be something related to a professional project that you want to continue. So if you started maybe an honors thesis and you want to submit an excerpt of that because you want to continue that into your studies for your MA. It can be a work-related report. Maybe you're kind of interested in the public and professional writing concentration, and you are like, look, this is something I prepared for work that demonstrates the kind of skills that I want to continue building and build off of. That would be acceptable for that. The main things that we're looking for is we read that as a way to gauge readiness for the kind of work that you'll do in a graduate level English program. So we're looking for kind of engagement with argument, thinking about rhetorical purpose, demonstrating research skills, analysis skills, but we do leave that open because we recognize that there's not just one specific genre through which you do all of those kinds of things, developing an argument, using research, synthesizing, analyzing, etc. So that's the writing sample. The statement of purpose is typically about a page, and this is where you tell us why you want a graduate degree in English and Writing Studies. So what is it that you're drawn to in our program? This helps us assess for something that you'll hear us talk about, or you'll hear graduate programs talk about, this idea of fit. So basically, when we're looking at that, we want to know, what are your goals? What are you interested in? And can we support you in that, right? So if you're like, I really want to write a novel, I want to write the next great American novel, and that's why I'm applying to this program, we may write back to you and say, hey, this is awesome. We're so excited to read what you write, but also we're not an MFA program, so this may not be the space where you want to bring that project, because the coursework won't support that project. We don't have any other kind of structures to support creative writing students. This is not a program that's built to do that kind of work. So maybe, here are some other suggestions of places where you might get support for this project. So we're looking for fit. We want to make sure that what we have to offer in our kind of people resources, in our coursework resources, and our program resources are going to serve and support you. And then your letters of recommendation. So we ask for 2 letters of recommendation. Those can come from faculty who you've worked with before in an academic context, but they don't have to. So if maybe you're coming back to school after an absence and you've lost touch with the folks that you worked with, you can have your colleagues write you a letter. You can have your employers write you a letter. And basically what we're looking for there is for them to talk about the skills and expertise and knowledge that you're bringing to this program that is uniquely you, that's setting you up for success in graduate study. So not necessarily like they don't need to say like this person has memorized every MLA citational update and I have seen it firsthand, right? But if they can say this person is very curious, is like and has this kind of methodical way of approaching answering questions, like yeah, that we want to know that. We want to know about you. So that's what the letters are for. Do you want to add anything else to that, coordinators? Things that maybe you've seen in applications that you want to highlight?
Really nothing much to add from me. I think, yeah, I think you covered it. The writing sample, you know, if you have specific questions about, you're not sure if something that you're thinking about submitting is appropriate, you can always, you know, reach out and give us a bit more information and ask. But yeah, I think you covered all the options there. So thanks.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And so there is, if you want more details about this or more information, we have all of this information listed on our website too. So you can go to prospective students, and there's also a space on the website that's like, it's called like hot tips, something like that for for
Yeah, I think a
applications.
checklist, like an application
There's
checklist
a
kind of
checklist,
thing. Yeah.
and then there's one that's like, it says something about like advice or like application advice or something. And that's where we talk through a little bit more about how we think about our admissions, which I guess I can kind of mention briefly that we think of our admissions as a kind of holistic, we read them holistically. We read applications holistically. So what that means is that we're not going to look at it and say, oh, okay, you have a 2.999. I'm sorry, you don't make the suggested 3.0 GPA cutoff, and so we're, you know, we won't look at anything else in your application. We read all of the parts of the application in conversation with one another, and we are always, when we're reading those things, looking for asking ourselves those questions. Is this a good fit? Can we support this student? Is this student demonstrating readiness for to be successful in this program? Which is not to say that we want to be gatekeepers, but we don't want you to get into the program and then feel like completely overwhelmed by the coursework, discouraged from completing your project. So, you know, we want to make sure that we're all that like this is the right program, and that we can support you and that you are ready to jump in. So sometimes we may say like, oh, maybe you're coming from a background in philosophy. Maybe you did an undergrad in philosophy and you're moving over to English. We may say, hey, you know, there are a couple of lit classes that it might be useful for you to take, that some of our that typically folks who take who come in from a BA program in English will have already taken, and having that knowledge or those resources to draw from can be helpful as you move in, because reading for philosophy and writing for philosophy is a little different than reading and writing literary analysis. So sometimes we'll make suggestions about some additional classes that you might take before reapplying, or as kind of a conditional acceptance. And sometimes we may also make recommendations about like, actually, you know, the concentration that this might be a good fit for, or that this project might be a good fit for, is this one over here. But we are reading these always holistically. So if you're nervous, like, my GPA isn't great, or like I I took some English classes, or I took some other classes and I didn't do super well, and I'm worried that that's gonna get in the way of my application. You can always talk about those things in your statement of purpose too. You can talk a little bit about, you know, so to show us how to read those things. Or, you know, you can also just know that we're gonna look at everything that comes in all together. Okay, so let's see. this is our contact information. We can also drop this information in the chat so that you don't have to write these things down. All of our email addresses are also available on the website too. So if you if you don't get them here, I'm looking at our bio pics, and like we all look so fresh faced, and like it's not the middle of spring semester and that we're not all just counting down the days till spring break. Okay, so this is how you can contact us. Please do reach out to us at any time. You know, send us messages, send us emails with your questions. And we have some time now too for questions. So I think maybe we can stop the recording for questions.